Alrighty, welcome back to Lesson Notes, and today I'm excited to bring you a video talking about how the backswing affects the downswing, specifically if you are someone who gets too far across the line at the top of the backswing. We've got a college player here who has been hitting it left. The ball is either starting left or it's over curving left. So that's kind of the context. Anytime I do one of these videos, it really has to do with what is the problem, and then how did I fix that? The red lines represent here the impact plane, and then the yellow line would represent lead arm parallel on the downswing. I just thought they were kind of interesting lines to draw. That'll also give some context as to kind of, what we did and how we did it. So I've done this video a little bit different, that I've synced these videos up, and there's going to be a really key reason why I'll explain here in a minute. But let's just start with the backswing and kind of define, why was the ball going left and what is across the line. So number one, the ball is going left most cases when the face is this shut. You can see that if we see a lot of the face at the top of the backswing, that just means the face is closed. And if the face is closed, in most cases, you're going to hit it left. If we were to look at the video on the right, which that's kind of a context for you can't see the club, so obviously that's in a much different position. But if you look here, you can't see as much of the face. It's a little bit more parallel to the lead wrist. It's more in line with the shaft. So that would be a more neutral club face. So one, if you are someone that hits it left, you may want to check that out, because that clearly is a reason it could be. And then secondly, what is across the line? So across the line would really be defined as, where is the shaft pointing at the top of the backswing? And so at the top, you can kind of see this guy is pointing way right of target. Our target is somewhere behind his left shoulder, but we can't see. But you can clearly see that the club is pointing way to the right. And if you were to look at the one on the right, it's not near as across. It's still a little bit steep, but it's definitely much, much different than the one before. So if we were to go back to the beginning, I want to kind of get into the sequencing of this video. And so you can see as I play this back, basically on the downswing, frame by frame is exactly the same. You can see they both got to impact at the same time. But if we go back to the beginning of the backswing and I play this up to club parallel, the video on the right got there much faster than the video on the left. Well, why would that be the case, and how does it relate to being across the line? Well, the first thing that I told this player to do was to stop rotating their lower body and feel like they're moving the club up in front of them on the backswing. So limiting the rotation. Well, why would I do that? So one, if you over-rotate on the backswing, you are likely going to be more across the line at the top. So if you are someone who is across, I would bet you are trying to twist your hips or twist your rib cage or chest too much. And so what we're going to see as we go back is a very big difference in what his leg action is doing. You can see here, we can see some of the left knee. We're here. We can actually start to see some daylight. What I mean by daylight is we can see that sand between his legs. And if we continue to play this out, you can see at the top of the backswing, there's a vast difference in what that looks like. The video on the right, you can start to see a little bit of daylight, but the video on the left, you can see a ton. So when we kill some of the rotation to the right, that almost always gets rid of some of the across position. And where that would kind of show up on the backswing here, you can see on the video on the left, his shaft is on that yellow line, where the video on the right, it's above it, because he just didn't rotate to the right as much. So his hands are going to be a little bit more in front of him, and the shaft pitch is going to be a little bit different. Now, secondly, so that's one. So if you're across, kill some of the rotation. And then two, it really, from this position, you can see that's not that different. Visually, I'd say they almost look the same, except for the knees. I can't really see that much of a difference. How do you get to be less across? Well, it really has to do with the wrists. And almost always when someone is across, they are across and shut. Again, so across would be the shaft's that way, and then the face is pointing to the sky. So my cue to him was, I want you to feel like you're spinning the face open, and I want you to feel like you're folding the club over your right shoulder this way. And so that sensation of folding the club over the trail shoulder is really what got the face weaker, and then what got the shaft much more parallel to these lines, or in line with these lines, versus being so far across. And so that only took a couple swings, honestly. Now, when he was doing this, I really had him exaggerating that motion to where at this position, the club head was actually over here. If laid off would be that we can actually see the club head right here at the top of the backswing. There's plenty of examples on the PGA Tour of someone being laid off. Daniel Berger would be a very good example if you wanted to see someone. So how does this affect the downswing? Well, what's going to happen on the downswing is kind of how the shaft gets to this yellow line. So you can see on the video on the right, it's basically already parallel versus the video on the left. It's going to have to do some shallowing. It's going to be having to move down to get to those lines. Well, and that's going to be the path being a little bit more right. The other thing is we can see the face here is in a much, much better spot. This one's still shut. The other one is a little bit more open. And so that starts to correlate with why the ball's going left. So as we continue to play this out, I'd just say the video on the right, the shaft is just falling into place versus the one on the left. It is abruptly having to shift. And let's also discuss, this guy swings almost 100 miles an hour with his 8-iron. If you're someone who swings really fast and you have a lot of shift in the shaft like this, most likely you're going to have some ball control issues just because the shaft moving and the head moving at that much pace is going to be hard to control the face. So you can see they both got on. I mean, you can see the difference visually. The face on this one is much weaker. The face on this one, we can see much more of it. Again, these are subtle differences, but this really is what starts to cause some of these ball flight issues. Keep going down. And I think the other one here is, if you look at the club face is on this line versus here. You can see the handle is above the red line, and then the club head is below the red line. Again, these are very subtle differences, but you can see the difference, and that would be a difference of a couple degrees difference in path, and then a couple degrees difference in the face, most likely. And so those are the reasons that the ball is going to start. Why does the shaft come down like that? Well, it all comes back to this being steep. As this is too steep, we can see that this is pointing, that's a terrible line. You can see this is pointing inside the ball. Or if we look here, you can see this is pointing outside the ball. Those are very subtle differences, but how the club is being delivered is largely going to affect what impact is going to be like. So all that to say, it's very, very clear how the backswing kind of affects the downswing. When I'm coaching someone, I generally try to clean up their backswing to a point to where the things that they want to happen kind of automatically happen. So if you're someone who feels like your backswing largely affects what happens on the downswing, which is the case for most of us, I encourage you to video your swing, check it out, go through my videos. I've explained a lot of different types of swings, and hopefully that will help you. And then if you are across, this video is definitely for you. Hopefully you found this helpful. Drop a comment. If you haven't subscribed, I really appreciate it. And best of luck next time you're at the range.